Actually, let me check the fucking chat. What up? What up, Javier? I'm excited to straighten this bitch. So yeah, so now that I'm recording, I'm gonna straighten my wig while we have a conversation about Orange is the New Black. And you know, you can like I want to start it off with like with just talking about the positive, the things that we like about it, so we can get that the fuck out the way. Because you know, critiquing shit ain't really the shortest shit in the world. But saying your likes usually is like whatever you like about some shit usually is a lot easier to get out than like you know the things that you really fucking dislike. And I don't know why that is, but I think like you're just more critical when you want to fucking you know talk about some shit. Um, and I think in the negative because it's important and it's important and not to be like a hater, but to be real about the situation. What up, y'all? What up, Emily? What up, Betty's? What up, Swaggerifica? Swaggerificadora? I like that. That's fly. What up, Kyla? Okay, so by the way, like, this is probably gonna be full of spoiler alerts for, like, any people that haven't seen Orange is the New Black, so just be aware of that, moving forward, and live your life accordingly. So, basically, what I wanted to say about the article that I read, it was basically, let me just, like, go to it, because I actually have it pulled up. Or I don't, but I can pull it up in a second. So, okay, it's called "White is the New White," and it was written by a woman of color named Aura Bogado, and you know, she basically just comes in with the critique of Piper Kerman. First of all, as being this trope of you know, non-criminal. You know, Genji Kohan, the writer, actually makes the assertion that Piper Kerman and criminals are, like, not at all, like, exclusive, or rather meaning that, like, there's a difference between, you know, Piper and the other people who are also in the same exact location that she is in, meaning that there was criminality involved in their life at some point. That was obviously enough to involve, you know, jails. You know, I mean, I'm not trying to say anything about people who are in jail. I'm just saying, like, it's just interesting that, like, this white character somehow, like, isn't like the same as these other people because they're college educated, white, you know, if we're gonna like look at class, you know, this person's obviously from a more affluent background, so is unlikely or less likely to get jail time despite being, you know, just as criminal, if not more so, as their, you know, POC counterpart. But I just think, like, I think the article "White is the New White," that's the name of the article. It's good for many reasons, but I think it also, as I said, points out the triggers. It points out the fact that this show is very triggering and features some things that are kind of scary. You know, like in one scene, I know Doggett is supposed to be like this really hated character. We're not supposed to see any humanity in her, and like they've actually like given her like the wildest, like some of these people in the show, you know, I feel like their looks are kind of like fucked with so that they look less attractive for like more believability, but and like somehow like Piper Kerman, like the bitch who plays Piper Kerman, I believe it's Taylor Schilling, I think I could be wrong, she's seen as being, you know, the most attractive, or one of, because the most attractive is Alex Voss, played by, I don't know that bitch's name, I don't care, the bitch that played Donna in that's that 70s show. But it just like it's annoying, but it's disgusting that people think it's, you know, a positive thing that that Piper Kerman's story deserves to like go first. That like in order to and these are the writer's words, in order to sample on the juicy, entrees of these women of color, we have to kind of use Piper Kerman as the catalyst. And I think that kind of, again, speaks to the privilege of being a white woman, despite, having a past in, the criminal justice department. You know what I mean? Like, despite the fact that Piper Kerman was in the same facility as these other people, these other women, especially women of color, it has no bearings on like what happens to her afterwards. Whereas like right away we're shown, with Tasty's story, that if you don't have a stable home life, which you probably don't if you're in prison, it's going to be hard for you to stay out of prison. So there's just a lot of things going on in this show, and it's interesting, whenever you critique a show that has people of color on it, they always want to make it about not race, but it's like, if you don't have a show with people of color on it, that's a racist thing. If you have people of color on your show and you're using them as props, that's a racist thing. White people are so quick to say like what is and what isn't racist, but it's like, you don't fucking know. If you're a white person, you watch shows and you see yourself. When people of color see themselves in shows and it's fucked up shit being depicted, we have every right to be outraged and we have every right to talk about it. And, I know people aren't, specifically women of color are just not watching the show because, because of this. Because, these white characters are the Trojan horses, to kind of, to enter into the minds of, the white audience. And that's what it is. This is 100% for the white audience. This isn't at all for anyone else. What they're explicitly saying is, we know that white people are going to watch it because we have a white lead. And so we can tell these stories about black and brown people, through this white lead. And it's like, the things that were mentioned in the article were that, there's an Asian woman who doesn't speak, and it's very true. There's an Asian woman, like there was a whole episode where, she was one of the appointed captains of, I want to say, what is it called? WAC. Which was, I guess, the women's correctional facilities, like, kind of United Nations bullshit where, like, people, of a certain race or a certain set in the prison, kind of were the representatives, that talk to the warden, who, right away, lets everybody know that this is, just so that they can get some donuts and keep tabs. And no tea, but did y'all bug when y'all seen Tasty snitching to the warden, to Healy? Did anybody else bug? I was like, really? Like, Tasty, I feel you for liking candy, but like, that was just weird to me. Like, but on the other hand, it's like, what the fuck, like, this person's in prison trying to get at how the fuck they live it. They're not really worried about nothing else. Exactly, bountiful Betties. That's the thing. Like, white people can look on a myriad of shows to see like rich white people doing good, white people saving the environment, white people saving some shit, white people blah blah blah. But when it comes down to it, when you want to see a person of color like being like the hero for positive reasons, not being typecast as like the spiritual Negro or the super Negro or anything like that, it's really fucking hard. And it's like, white people really don't understand the, the need for that, because they're not denied that. If you're a white person, you're not denied seeing yourself in a positive way, in a way to make you feel good. A lot of my heroes growing up, as I've said before, they were not women of color, and it wasn't because, I don't love women of color. I'm saying, like, as I grew up, I didn't really see women of color that I could identify with, and that's not just because of, white supremacy. It's also because of sizeism. I've had this conversation before about how, I never had, like, any fat role models that made me feel like my fat body was normal. Like, when you don't see fat, people, if one of the Spice Girls would have been fat, bitch, man, because, growing up, what I remember, like, growing up as a black girl, I know that, like, whenever we would play, like, mermaids or play Disney princesses, I was always like, okay, I'll be Nala, like, I didn't have a lot of choices, so Yeah, yeah, Emily, I agree. I felt like Tasty was keeping tabs on the white people for Healy, and I was just like, what the fuck? And for some Mike and Ike's or some shit, or was it some Good and Plenty's? I don't know, but it seemed like a whack ass candy to be snitching for. Sheree 385. Me too. Yo, I'm surprised when I see more than one person of color on TV. It's a good surprise, but it's like, that's fucked up. You know how hype I get. Or I'll watch a show that I don't even fucking like just because there's a person of color on it. Like, I'd be watching Hell's Kitchen just to see like people of color cook these beautiful dishes. And this year, a black woman won Hell's Kitchen, and I fucking died. I was like, I knew this bitch was gonna win though. The whole season, I was like, this is the bitch to beat. I was like, this bitch don't play, Janelle. Yes, girl, go in. And I was loving it. I love how I said I was gonna straighten my hair, but I just curled the bitch again. I'm not ready to straighten it, and when I say that, I just mean I'm not ready to fucking really sit here for that long. Cause curling it when it already got some curl ain't nothing. But straightening the bitch, I don't plan on being on cam that long. But yeah, so in terms of, you know, Piper being the Trojan horse, the person that kind of lets you into the prison life, you know, you can miss me because, you know, what they're working on is the idea that, you know, I'm not interested or you're not interested in hearing about the lives of women of color. And not only that though, but can we get into, you know, the characters who play, excuse me, the characters who play Daya and Daya's mother and Daya's like whole fucking family. Like that whole storyline had me fucked up. The fact that like, you know, I did comment saying that I thought it was like kind of hot that like I thought Daya was sleeping with Caesar, who was Daya's mother's boyfriend. But I think that like I think that that's like my own like personal, you know, like kind of like hot moment. Cause like I just think like, you know, I don't know, like I thought it was hot. Like I know that it's problematic as fuck. And I realized why it's problematic, and I realized that like again, it paints this picture of Latinx people as, you know, as sexually promiscuous and like almost incestual and just like, you know, like bah, like just like very sexual, but in a way that's like very demeaning and like dehumanizing. But I also feel like that about the way that like they went at when they went to Daya and said that Daya had to like pretend that excuse me, trigger warning right now. I'm gonna talk about rape, so I just want people to know, like, before I go into it, I'm giving you guys a trigger warning because I don't want anyone to be triggered by this. I'm sorry for if I've said the word rape before this. I don't think I did, but if I did, I apologize. But I want to just, you know, say now that there's I'm going to talk about it. They approached Daya in one of the episodes and they asked her to say that she was raped by Mendez, by Red, to get Mendez from fucking with the kitchen, because Mendez was like trying to get drugs in the kitchen through Red, who had a connection outside of the prison, the person that brought in the produce. But I definitely do have, you know, an issue with, you know, the way that these Latinx people have been portrayed, because like it just, I mean, I don't know, like I think in a way, you know, I feel disconnected by Daya's story and the story of her mother, just because of the way that they've set it up. I think like they've set it up really to like tie to oh, see, I didn't know Daya was Afro Latina, so that's interesting. See, like, there's so many things about this show that I just like didn't, I don't know, or like I just don't feel like was like really explained. but I also feel the way about Suzanne, you know. But I feel like I feel fucked up about Suzanne for so many ways because, you know, the fact that they continue to call her crazy eyes after she addresses the fact that that bothers her bothers me. The fact that they use ableist like language to define this character, the fact that like, you know, the fact that like they make her so undesirable just because her eyes are like bigger, or like they make her out to be like some scary person, and it's just like so anti-black. It's like fucking with me because it's like, you know, I have like naturally big eyes, and you know, like, I mean, I don't know, I can be kind of eccentric, but I just don't get it. I don't feel like there's anything crazy about you know, Uzo Adupe's eyes at all, and that just really fucked with me. Well, you know, Health Nut 16, I think you have to like I think we have to like be honest about like our experiences. You know, Mindy Kaling, like, you know, I read somewhere that like her name is like was really like Vera 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 something Cowling. No, it's Vera something, and then like I think like the name Mindy Cowling, like Mindy comes from like her middle name, which is not Mindy, and then Cowling comes from like her last name, which is not Cowling, it's something else. And something that I believe is I believe it to be a Desi last name. But you know, she's changed her name. So I honestly, I don't know what like the point of like her show is particularly, but I think like I watched like one episode and she was like trying to meet dudes, and it was like everyone from the office was like on her fucking show, and I just didn't get it. I was like, she could totally do her own thing, but I feel like in some ways Mindy Kaling is like one of those like people on TV that are just like, all right, well, I got here and that's good enough. Because I know that she had been writing like some episodes for The Office, which was really amazing. But when she got her own show, I was really surprised that like it just didn't seem organic. It just seemed like a bunch of white dudes were like all up in her shit, and like I don't know. I was just like, who is the demographic for this fucking show? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, I mean, like, I think, like, oh, I think the lack of seeing Desi women, like, in media, like, fucks with us, but I think, like, it's kind of fucked up for us to, like, be assuming that, like, you know, culturally, you know, anything, like, traditionally, like, Hindi at all would be, like, you know, something that she would, you know, feel comfortable portraying. Not saying that, like, that's, like, excusable if it's not. I'm just saying that, you know, I think like maybe culturally it's not significant to her. Like, I don't know at all. Um, but yeah, no, oh, it's Haiti. I agree with you. I don't understand. You know, when we left off, I was really like disappointed only because I felt like I didn't get to learn about Suzanne like I wanted to. I felt like they really just did not let me know this character, and they didn't want me to know this character, or rather, I feel like they were trying to put me in suspense. And I didn't like that shit because I just felt like how you like, it's kind of just like when like Louis C.K. made the mother of his like children like a black woman and said that like it didn't matter like who was cast as like the child of his like the mother of his children because like it wasn't really gonna be his ex-wife. And I was like, but how are you just going to throw a black woman in the storyline? Like, that just didn't make any sense to me. Like, this whole, like, we're watching the whole show, you know, we never see the wife, and then out of nowhere, you know, it's this, like, dark-skinned black woman who's, like, the wife of his, like, white-ass, blonde-hair, blue-eyed children. And everyone was just like, that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, it really doesn't. But, it would make more sense if you, like, said anything about it, but it just, like, bothered me how he was just like, oh, it doesn't need to be explained. That's racist. Like, does it matter? And it's like, really? I guess. Louis. I don't know. I feel like white dudes like who talk a little bit about white supremacy like get like so much motherfucking like leeway. They get to say so much more shit because like they like to act like they're down or like they understand oppression because like they're talking about like one instance or something like that's like comedic to them, like the bit that's like that keeps coming around where it's like black people don't ever want to time travel because like why would they, like everywhere is racist up until the 80s, and it's like no, still today. So like it fucks with me that like, you know, that's funny, you know, it's funny that like black people are like limited to do something, you know, because white people are racist. You know what I mean? That's the thing though. Because like when we're talking about racism, we're not talking about like a black person calling you like a cracker. You feel me? Like notice that like when like racism shit comes out, like it's never like, you know, some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like that's what kills me too. It's like how white people don't think like white supremacy and racism are like the same fucking thing. In terms of like them having power. Like it fucks with me that they don't see this shit. You know what I mean? And it fucks with me that like there are people of color who really like sympathize with white people who get called out for like being racist, because it's like, oh, once a white person is found out to be racist, their whole life is ruined. It's like, good. Do you know how many people of color's lives are ruined by racism? Get the fuck out of here. What is one white person's life being ruined because they're racist? It makes no sense. Call me complicated. Even if someone is unstable, that's an ableist ass fucking nickname. You can be unstable, but like even if I'm unstable, they're not talking about, you're not calling me crazy Suzanne. You're calling me crazy eyes. You're saying something about my eyes is crazy. What does that mean? How can someone have a crazy eye? You know, like that's ableist as fuck. Like that's just like really dismissive. Exactly, Bountiful Betties. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I'm going to watch season 2, and the thing that fucks me up is like when the article I'm telling you guys about, like it was like, you know, a lot of people said that like it's like an unwatchable show. I don't feel that way. I don't feel like or rather, a lot of people said they couldn't not watch it, and I don't feel like I can't not watch it. I just feel like I want to watch it for, you know, reasons. You know, I like to see people color, and I know that again there are so many triggers in the show. Do I believe that a person who makes racist remarks is a racist? Definitely. For sure. For sure I do. Because if you weren't a racist, if you didn't, like, why do you need to say racist remarks? Because you're a racist. Because you need to have power over people. Because you need to feel like people are different than you and they're not the same as you. You know what I mean? It's like, that's like saying, do you believe people who say fat-phobic things are fat phobes? Yes. Do I believe that people say anti-gay slurs? Do I think that they're anti-gay or homophobic? Yes, I do. You know what I mean? You only need to fuck up one time around me for me to be like, okay, you're obviously a what or XYZ. And here's the thing. Labels in terms of like people being oppressive are important because people don't want to be fucking oppressed. So if you try to oppress me by being racist or ableist or fat phobic, why the fuck wouldn't I call you the fuck out, you know? It's like, what are we doing here? Like, are we saying one person randomly came up to me and said nigger? That's definitely racist. Are you trying to say like one person who's my friend said the word nigger in jest? That's not my friend no more. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, like, what, like, how many tries do I give you before I'm like, you're a racist, get away from me? I can't say that I've experienced racism from more homosexuals than anyone. I just want to say that like most of the white people that have been racist towards me have been rich white people. So, you know, in a very classist way, I've experienced racism. Yeah, no, there's no motivation for saying racist things other than being a racist. You can only say someone's ignorant for so long, you know? Ignorant of what? The times? That doesn't make any sense. And nigga, if you got Facebook and you're a racist, there's something wrong with you. Just kidding. Like, Facebook doesn't determine whether or not you're a racist. Don't worry, I'm recording it, Scarlett. Don't worry. So, okay, we've been jumping around a little bit. So I was saying we want to talk about our likes. Someone asked me if I had to say who's my favorite character. I would have to say it would be, I have a couple favorites. My favorites are Tasty and Poussey and Sophia. I think that they are like hilarious and wonderful. I'm not gonna lie to you, Doggett made me laugh. She's not my faves, but I was sad that like this bitch got murked. I was sad that she was killed only because I felt like even though she was a horrible piece of fucking garbage, you know, I still saw the humanity in this character. And honestly, if Doggett would have killed Piper, I wouldn't have been mad. Obviously, that's not how it could have went, because Piper wrote the book, y'all. But it's just interesting to me, like, you know, just how Genji used a white woman in Weeds to talk about weed and to talk about drug or criminality linked with drug use in like a suburban white woman like way. I think she's doing the same thing to talk about, you know, women of color in the industry of the prison industrial complex. Because if you look at it, the white woman in Weeds encountered many a black person. Her dealer was a black woman. So, like, if you look at it, like, they always implicate black people when they can. But when they want to, when they're talking about, like, everyday accessibility, they're using a white person. You know, they're using a white person, single mom, has kids, needs money, needs to make it. You know what I mean? But like the same fucking narrative, a black woman selling cold crack, whatever the fuck. Oh, that's different. Really? You know, like the bitch in Weeds was moving weight, and the like, come on, you know what I mean? Like that's what killed me. It's like they love to put a white face on shit, but like be taking black folks to jail. This white woman, we feeling bad for her and shit, but they taking black folks to jail. Thank you, Polly. Oh, Javier. I totally understand where you're coming from. I wasn't at all trying to say like that like homosexual people or gay people are not racist, because I know hella white queers that be on some bullshit. I thought Piper killed Doggett. I mean, like, I think Doggett's dead, to be real with you. I think Doggett's dead. I do not think that bitch is alive anymore. I realized it was a cliffhanger, but I'm pretty fucking sure that bitch is dead. Like given, like, what happened, given, like, the blunt force of the fucking, screwdriver, I definitely don't think Doggett made it. Considering also Doggett is small as hell. Yeah, no, Sheree. And you know, though, that's the thing, though, too. Like, I think it also has something to do with respectability. We're taught to respect our elders, but I think it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like that's a very ageist thing, because there are elders who don't give a fuck about people at all. So it's like, who the fuck is my elder? Like, are you really my elder, or are you just an old ass motherfucker? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because like this summer, or rather this spring, you know, I had to deal with some transphobic ass older people, some like anti fucking black older people, and it sucked. But it's like, you know, you don't want to like come at them fucked up because they're older, but at the same time, you know, old people can get it too. And I was telling my friend that because they were like, oh, I don't know how to confront older people. And it's like, just remind yourself, old people could get it too. You know, they can get it. And I don't mean that in a violent way. I mean that in a way like it's understandable, like who I am and what you can ask me. Oh, I feel like somebody just deleted a comment, and I was trying to read it. Yeah, no, exactly. Adora, you don't think she's dead? Why don't you think she's dead? Why don't you think she's dead? She's dead, y'all. I'm telling you. Doggett is fucking dead. That is how I feel. I'm willing to bet 16 fruit snacks on that, okay? I'm willing to put up some gushers. I don't think she comes back for the second season. You know what I think? I think she comes back as an apparition or some shit. I think if anybody sees her in credits, I think she comes back in terms of like being a ghost or being like, you know, about to be dead, like being on her deathbed. Exactly how they are. Like, I'm not gonna respect you because you're older than me. Like, that doesn't. You don't get my respect because you're older. I try to respect people just like upon meeting them, and I try to like lead my life by example in terms of like being respectful. But I think, you know, if you are disrespectful to me, bitch, then I don't fuck with you. You know, like, and that's just what it is. I'm not gonna fucking like let some old person into my life to fuck me up. Like, that's crazy. That's just not for me. Excuse me. That's perplexing. Yeah, you know, a lot of old people, I don't know, they grew up in a time where it was like more like acceptable to be openly racist. But I don't have time for that shit. Thank you all for commenting my hair. I'm having fun curling this bitch. This unit is so fun. I'm happy that I can like kind of kill two birds with one stone. We can get this fucking orange is the new black conversation out the way. And then we can also get, does this unit work well with heat? Because it very clearly does. I didn't put no product on that. I sprayed it with some oil sheen the other day and it looked like really fucking gross. Like after I sprayed it, and then I reminded myself that I'm never supposed to spray curly, silky units with oil sheen because like it doesn't do shit for them but hold them down. But Haiti, I wonder. Adora, maybe you do know. I'm wondering, you know, I'm wondering for sure. I want to know like everybody else want to know. But hold on. Let me read the chat. I'm trying to get the combo. Yeah, no, older people take advantage of the fact that they're older, and then they love to just like talk about whatever the fuck they feel like is appropriate for them to talk about, or you know, make an assumption based on some fuck shit, or just you know, just say some shit that's like fucked up. You know, like my grandpa dead ass tried to get me to stop doing online baking in his house because he was just like. He was like, that's how the government steals your money. I'm like, the government has never stolen no money from me transferring some money from my bank account, you know what I mean, into my savings via my fucking telephone. Like, I think you need to chill though. Like, chill, bro. You know what I mean? I was trying to tell my grandpa to chill. But he wouldn't, you know? Man, you know, we could go all day talking about white people. This is not Herman hair. It is not Herman hair. It's high text. If you want to know about this wig, go to my YouTube. There's our link. There's a link there. All the info that you need. I've already done a review. I'm just curling it. So getting back into Orange is the New Black, I wanted to, as I said, I wanted us to address like the things we like because when we critique it, like obviously like we're gonna be getting into it, but I really do appreciate the fact that like the trans woman narrative is actually played by a trans woman. Like that's kind of fucking amazing considering most of the time when we get a narrative about trans women, it's like not an actual trans woman. It's more likely, more than likely a cis person in, you know, in drag, or cross-dressing, more likely cross-dressing. And not to take away from anyone who cross-dresses, just saying that it's 9 times out of 10 not a true experience of a trans person at all. So I think that like a trans person like being you know, on the show playing, you know, someone that they've even said was like very close to like, you know, themselves in terms of like transitioning was pretty amazed, you know, like I thought that was really cool. And like I've actually, the interesting thing is Laverne Cox, I was earlier last month I was watching a documentary made on YouTube, or made and put on YouTube, and Laverne Cox was in it talking about her experience, and I was just like bugging. I was like, that's so bomb, like that I just saw this person on YouTube grinding, and I didn't see them on you know, on the Diddy show, but I thought it was really bomb to like, you know, see like you can see their progression, you know. So that's kind of amazing. Wow. You know, a lot of fucked up stories about white people in the workplace. I do agree. I do agree. Like so many stories to talk about, honestly. Too many because white people are everywhere and racist a lot of places. So, you know, like I had this white person dead ass ask me where something was in a store, and I said, I don't work here. And then they like walked away, and then they came back and they were like, oh, but do you know where, like, and I was like, I don't work here. And then they like walked away, and they came back again, and they were like, but could you just tell me where? And I was like, I do not work here. I was like, if you come up to me again and ask me where some shit is, I'm gonna fucking slap the shit out of you. And then they left. It was like this white dude who like dead ass was like trying to get me to tell him where shit is in the store. And it was just like, no. It's like, no. 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 I'm not telling you. Fucking walk around the fucking store. Get out of here. He was like, excuse me, miss. And I'm like, I don't fucking work here, nigga. I don't fucking know. But like, white people expect you to be nice to them, like when they roll up on you like that. They like someone white out there is like, you should have told them where something was. Why? I don't go up to white people in stores and ask them to tell me where the fuck shit is in a store. That's crazy. Excuse me. That's fucked up. That's like, that's no, no. I'm not doing that for you. Javier, I'm not gonna lie, I prefer this because Tiny Chat is annoying. Only because a lot of people, when they go on Tiny Chat, I have to usually tell people to put on their headphones, and it's just like annoying. It's like people pop in and out, and it's kind of hard for me to like just talk. Because 9 times out of 10, I just want people to like respond to like what I'm talking about, so I can stay on topic and not just create their own conversations and monopolize the time. No shade to anybody that's here and that wants to talk. If you want to talk and you want to have a conversation, I'd be more than welcome to come to your conversation. If you want to have one, I would come and I would hang out and I would be the fuck quiet, and or I would talk and like typing. But it's just easier for me to like just do this here without doing it on Tiny Chat. But I appreciate you for like bringing that up. Like, but I just don't fucks with Tiny Chat. I just haven't fucks with it in a while. But what the fuck was I talking about? I'm trying to get into this. Can we stay on topic, guys? Fuck. Yeah, see, that's the thing, potential to be. I don't feel like they ever aired it. I feel like they just threw the whole season up and was like, YOLO, which I feel like was kind of fucked up in a way. You know, like, as much as I'm happy to get it, you know, as much as I'm happy to, like, be able to see it, I'm just like, y'all didn't even give a fuck. Like, I didn't even really see it advertised until, that's not true. I've seen it advertised for a little bit, but, like, I didn't know when it was coming out, and then I just feel like it was just, like, out, and then people were watching it. So that was, you know, that was that. But as I said, yay, FSA BTAL. I'm happy that you're here too. That's awesome. No, and I agree. I feel like it's legit. I don't feel like it's legit for everything because, as I said, like there's like a lot of fucked up shit. Like how the Asian person, I'm not sure what their name is, but they don't talk at all in the whole season. They say yup or they nod, and that's supposed to be funny. That's supposed to be comedy. That this woman of color doesn't have a voice. And this is also like this is also like a gender, you know, a gender fluid person as well. So I also just feel like it's so fucked up that they have like this silent Asian gender fluid person that like the whole gimmick is that they don't fucking talk and that they're in charge of the weirdos and the old people. So it's like, what the fuck, you know, like for everything that this show does, it don't do, you know what I mean? Like it be trying, but it don't be doing at all. Um, Yeah, VLM 2011. I agree with you. Um, I don't like You Now because You Now is like it's not even for people to really stream. It's like you're supposed to like do something really ridiculous in your stream to make people give a fuck, and like then they like they put you against you know they put you against all different types of people. So it's just like what, you know what I mean? Like I just didn't get that. Um, so I didn't like that. But I like Ustream, you know. I like it because I can kind of like have my own thoughts and talk and have a platform to talk. So as I said, if you want to have a conversation about something and you want to like be on video, I'd be more than welcome to like come and watch your video if that's like what you're proposing. But like I prefer like to just do a video where it's just me talking because it's a lot easier that way. Um, so yeah, so Sophia, Laverne Cox, love this person. I really love Poussey. As I was saying, my favorites, Poussey, Tasty, and Sophia are my faves. The yoga lady be having me dead. The yoga lady be having me dead. I think her story was like really sad to me, you know, that she shot a child, you know, because she thought it was a deer eating her weed. So I thought that like really sucked that she got caught out in like some real shit. But I didn't like when they sent, excuse me, I don't know her name. I want to say her name is Tina, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna look it up because I can and because I care. Whoop. Sorry, 1 second. And you know what else is fucking me up? What about these other women of color? You feel me? Are they getting paid? Is Piper hooking them up? You feel me? Let me find this person. Janae Watson. I didn't like how they sent her to the shoe over, getting angry, because really, Piper had that fucking screwdriver. So I don't know. I didn't like that shit. I didn't like how when Janae and Piper were like in the vent, Piper was like trying to be all nice to her. Instead of just being real, like, I had the screwdriver. I'm sorry, It's just like, bitch, we already in fucking prison. Be real. Be real, And then trying to start beef talking about I didn't really get you sent to the shoe. It's just like, damn, bitch, no accountability. And it's like, it's supposed to be like one of those characters that we hate love, you know what I mean? Kind of like a Lena Dunham situation where this person has like the worst qualities, but it's super relatable because we all have like shitty qualities, whether or not we want to admit them. But also to use like this white character as like the normal character, as like the fucking, the catalyst, the seed for us to like dig deep and like learn about all of these mysterious women of color. You know what I mean? Because the thing that fucks with me about this is, a bunch of, women of color go to jail all the time. All the time. I'm sure a lot of them write about their experiences. I'm sure a lot of them, have plenty of time to write about their experiences. But the fact that this, like, white woman who's talking about how beautiful she is in her fucking book, because if you read that book, Child Boo, let me tell you, I was looking through the PDF, I was skimming, and most of it is just, like, so annoying. It's just, like, white tears to the max. It's just, like, so much like an inability to take accountability for actions, and also an inability to, be empathetic. You always see in the show, Piper will say something really fucked up and then say, oh, was that fucked up to say? And we're supposed to take that as like endearing, or as like cute, or as like something that is relatable, that like we all come from a privileged place, and isn't it good that she knows she's privileged in some capacity, when it's really not. It's like a smack in the face. It's like, oh, I forgot my privilege again, whoops, like just doesn't care. I also think it's interesting, the racial divide in the prisons. I always thought that was interesting. I watched like a lot of like shows about prison culture because I'm interested in it. Mainly just because like I feel like it's dehumanizing, and the lives, like whenever I'm able to see like lives of people in prison, it always like it interests me that how much humanity is there, but like how much like we're not like taught any of that, like we're never really taught, from a sympathetic view, or rather the lens of, I suppose, even now, even Orange is the New Black is through the lens of a white woman, so it's safe, that's why all of these like fucking white queers are like so pumped about it. They're like, oh, Alex Voss and Piper, like they're so together, like their shit together. And it's like that's your takeaway from this. You know what I mean? In a way, it's like kind of funny that like most of the people that I follow and I'm friends with are like mad like interested in like this trans woman story. They're really interested in knowing about like how these white people fit into Suzanne's life and like are her parents and like how that like what that storyline is. But it appears to me like most white people are just more concerned with Alex and Piper fucking while in prison or being together while in prison, or fucking Morello and that bitch with the boofy hair. Let me find out what her name is because I forgot. It's Nicole. I know her first name was Nicole. Maybe it's not Nicole. Oh. Whoops. I'm trying to find this person. Yeah, Nikki Nichols. Whatever. I think like as I said, like white people are more concerned with like this this I guess juicy fucking sex plot between like these two like forbidden lovers and da da da. But honestly, like I'm more here for Tasty and Poussey. I'm just like what's about to pop off with y'all, because I feel like Poussey like loves Tasty, and you know what makes me mad? People have been really like shitting on that like ship. Like people are like like I wouldn't want to see Tasty and Poussey together, and it's like why not? Like fuck y'all, you fat phobic fucks, because like they're like if it would have been like two thin black women of color or two thin black female body people on fucking on screen, you know what I mean, like getting together, but no, like one of them's big, one of them's small, that would be weird. Really? That's sexist as fuck and fat phobic as fuck. Fat people do be getting it in. Fuck out of here. Like it just makes me mad that like the only people that are getting prison pussy are white people. And then I mean, yeah, Daya and Bennett. But really, that's light-skinned people. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? Bennett, white person, Daya, light-skinned person. But, like, you know, I'm not here for that shit. You know what I mean? I want to see Tasty and Poussey today. You know, if in season 2, if I don't see that shit, I'm going to be fucking sad. You know what I mean? I hope that they're, like, checking the blogs and shit for what the people want, because the people want this. I hope they know. I hope they know about me. I care. I want to see this. But, I think one of the obvious critiques is, you know, just I think, you know, the way that the black women are portrayed in this show, you know, like when they were all campaigning how Tasty and Poussey were talking about fried chicken, it had exactly no relevancy. And part of me felt like maybe they were like making jokes about fried chicken and shit like that, because, you know, like Tasty already knew that like whack was whack, and like there wasn't anything that was going to be changed regardless, so why even bother having an actual like campaign based on anything other than some bullshit like fried chicken. But I think that it was just lazy. It was lazy writing. It's like, you know, Tasty and Poussey are like hilarious, so I expect a little bit more. I just didn't think it was funny. I thought it was just basic as fuck. But again, you know, I definitely think that like they're definitely fucking with race and they're talking about race, but in ways that are like not congruent to the experiences of an actual prison. Because I feel like in a lot of ways, I feel like there's like so much racist shit that gets said by like the white people like on the show that, you know, it's almost in like a satirical way, but it's so not. Like they almost are kind of like, oh, haha, and it kind of makes you go, wait, what? Like, wait, what? Did you really? And you know, you kind of have to pull yourself back a little bit because you can't really deal with that shit. And I think that that's like what I go through in the show. You know, obviously, as I said, like I was triggered in the show when I saw Doggett being chained to the bed. That really fucked with me, just because I think like I had some experiences not on par with like actually being restrained. However, I was, being held by someone before, and I just really didn't like the way that they were, trying to restrain, like they were trying to restrain me, but they did it in a very poor way. And I think that, it just gave me like a trigger, and reminded me of like being constrained and being unable to like really change my, position in life, physically, being definitely held down by something and having no control over my body. It really like fucked with me to see her like that, you know what I mean? It really like fucked with me mentally. And I think that I think even though like Doggett was a piece of shit character, I think that like taking her character and kind of like lifelessly moving it like through all of these events, it just really like, it just had me like so like yeesh, I kind of had to pause for a little bit, because I think that in this show, we see fucked up shit happen to people and there's no explanation, but it's things that wouldn't happen to the obviously white and privileged main character, and I think that even when homegirl goes to the shoe, she's not there for nearly as long as Watson is, despite what she did, despite what she said, and despite like her actions of like talking through the fucking vent to this person. Like, you would have thought this bitch was in the shoe for like hella fucking long. And I think like she honestly was only there for like 3 to 4 days. So I thought that was like really interesting. But at the same time, I think it's interesting, Piper's inability really to like fight back with Larry. I think that like when Larry took her story or wrote that like sexual weird ass fucking fantasy idea of what the fuck happens to Piper in prison, and was like totally like outing everything that, not outing, but totally like talking about, the prison experiences, I thought that was like probably against anti-confidentiality rules or something, or confidentiality in prison. I thought that like that was like not acceptable. Like, I can understand writing about your experiences with your partner, but like to tell those stories, I thought was like really like dehumanizing in a way, because it like, again, it like reminded the character that like these women of color like don't fucking matter. Like, they're just like these random ass people that are happening to this white woman who should not be there. You know what I mean? Like, she like, oh, how am I in prison? Like, and her just trying to normalize prison with her like banter and her like very like snarky white woman, wide-eyed like kind of bullshit. It just like, it annoys me, because it's like, bitch, no, you can't fucking get a tweet in before you go to fucking prison. Like, no. Like, and for her to say, oh, there's gonna be like so many iPhones that come out while I'm in prison. Like, those are her concerns, you feel me? So already right there kind of sets you up to like really not take seriously like what's happening, like her going to prison and her being in that facility. Because I feel like, from what a lot of these white people are writing, they want to fucking go to a women's correctional facility. Like, a lot of these people are like, it seems like a girl's a sleepover. It seems like it's fun. It seems like it's a familial thing. And I think these characters' ability to, and I don't want to say entice, but I think to kind of sexy up and interest and make more interesting the lives of prisoners, I think is, it's I think it's damaging, because I think that, again, it looks at these characters through a lens that is not necessary. I think the last thing we should be doing is sexualizing the prison experience, and not saying that sex doesn't happen in prison. I'm just saying that, like, all of the nudity, all of the making out and stuff like that, it was just like, it was really like kind of hard for me to like really be like interested, because it's like whenever the white characters were hooking up, I literally was like fast forwarding. I was very uncomfortable like seeing Nikki and Morello like fucking in the shower. I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't give a fuck about this shit. You know what I mean? And like, that's me not giving a fuck about all these like white queers like in here doing their fucking thug thizzle, having their boring ass subplots. You know what I mean? Morello's relationship, Morello's wedding planning situation. It's just like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like how much can you plan for a wedding in prison? You know what I mean? And I mean, that's shade to Piper too, because it's just like, what were you thinking? What was Larry thinking? Like, what are y'all thinking? You know what I mean? Like, they just they had this very, like, one-dimensional idea of prison. Like, she really thought prison was going to be like, I'm going to read all of the books on my reading list, and I'm going to work out That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get ripped. Like, just totally not taking into account like the fact that like prison for most of the women in that facility is not about like getting your reading list completed and making sure that like you work out and run on a track because that's how you feel normal. It's just very fucking ableist, and also just very like, again, dehumanizing. It totally takes the eyes off of the woman of color constantly to talk about this white woman and how sad she is and how different she is and how, oh no, like this woman hates her. You know what I mean? It's just like all of these emotions like that are so wasteful, because there's actual like subplots that are fucking amazing that just make me want to fucking puke, because they're all like underneath like this white storyline, that like it's relevant but it's not, you know what I mean, in the way that like it totally like pushes aside, the people of color. It's kind of like we see this white woman until, she's going to take a bathroom break, and then we get like this little POC interlude. It's like commercials of people of color, and then just white people fucking, white people crying, white people, wearing wigs, pretending to be fucking, drug dealers, drug cartel runners, and things of that nature. I'm sorry, I'm gonna look at the chat. I haven't looked at the chat in a second. Might be. Yeah, T908. How she tried to run the business with her friend. But I'll say this. I hated her friend. I hated seeing that person. I hate Polly. Polly? Yeah, her name is Polly. Sorry. I hate Polly Harper so much. And I hate her because she is like that white woman that like just drives me insane. She's actually been on Louis C.K.'s show, and like her character there pissed me off as well. But I think the thing that bothers me the most about her character is just like, in some ways, I can't lie, I identify with Piper. I identify with like working with someone and not like being able to be like where you need to be, but like totally like thinking that person can handle like at least most of the shit, and like and like just the way that like Polly was just so like blasé about about the business, but also the fact that Piper was telling everybody that she's in Barney's, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like we're gonna be in Barney's. It's like, bitch, you in prison. You know what I mean? Don't nobody care about these soaps, girl. Don't nobody care about these candles, girl. You know what I mean? But it just reminds me that like, her, like she's totally not there. Like that's white privilege too. Like white privilege, the like her suspending her belief of where she actually is, like to a point where she's like, oh, when I wake up in the morning, I almost don't know like where I am, and it's like, really, like you forget that you're in prison that quickly? Like it's very doubtful to me. But because that is your true experience that you're telling me, it just leads me to just, believe further that like you don't know what the fuck is going on. Might be. Okay. I'm bugging. Yes, Emily, I love you. Listen, I'm not gonna like if you don't think the prison puss is a great thing, like I'm not trying to shit on the sexuality of these white women like in prison. I'm shitting on the fact that like that is like the main source of sexuality, that there are no black or brown bodies showing any affection whatsoever other than like this like friendship that's obviously more between Tasty and Poussey, and that obviously has like the ability to have depth and realness, like who wouldn't want a partner like Poussey that keeps it real, but they're also funny and they're also complimentary, and also they're also really nice and sweet, and I think like if I was in prison and I've met someone that cared about me to the point where I say I have a bed and I have you, you know what I mean? That's a deep ass line. I have a bed and I have you. Wow. Cause you know what? A bed don't mean shit. A bed just means that you got somewhere to lay your head. That don't mean you own shit. That don't mean you got shit. But to say I got a bed and I got you, that's deep. That's deeper than any Piper Alex dialogue I've ever heard. It's all lust with them. I don't care about their storyline. It's boring. It's the same storyline with, straight people. Oh, go with your other lover. You know what I mean? I think the interest is the very forward way that Alex approaches Piper. I think that people are very turned on by like the aggressive white lesbian. I think that like or rather the aggressive femme lipstick lesbian fucking caricature, because I think that, when you pair that with like Piper's wide-eyed purity, goodness, I'm dating Larry, you know what I mean, like when you pair it with that, it seems like so taboo and so interesting, but in reality, like, it's boring. It's actually very boring, because if you think about it, it makes no sense, you know what I mean? If this bitch didn't name you, you know what I mean? If she didn't name it, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's like, how could you have mad hate for her and then find out that she didn't name you, and then like you want to fuck her and you want to be with her? Everything's the same. It's like very clear, like from the way that like when Laverne Cox, or rather when Sophia is doing Piper's hair, and Piper like almost starts crying, or rather does start crying because of the human contact. It sets you up right there to know that anything between her and Alex is some bullshit. It's a fluke. It's lust. It's like it's a crave for attention. Whereas with Poussey and Tasty, I feel like there's a genuine attraction there that goes beyond the physical. So I'm not going to say I don't think prison puss is a great thing, because I think that that's being like, shaming of like women who have sexuality while in prison. But I think that me seeing all these like white women on TV, these thin white women on TV fucking, it's like, I hate seeing thin white people fuck that are hetero. I don't want to see no thin white lesbians. I don't care about this shit like that. Bountiful Betty's, I agree. I don't care about Daya and Bennett. I don't give one fuck. I thought at first it was cute. I thought at first their like lust was cute, but I feel like her getting pregnant so soon, I feel like that could have been a cliffhanger and that would have made more sense for me. But I just really didn't like the fact that like she's pregnant and then she had to like have this whole like rape dialogue. You know what I mean? With Mendez. I was just like, what the fuck? It's like, why couldn't Morello fuck this nigga in the truck or something? You feel me? Like why is Daya the one? You know what I mean? And I get that like they're trying to say that like Mendes is the one that got her knocked up, but I think at the same time, I don't know. It's a hard thing to talk about, I guess, because I don't want her to get caught out and get, transferred or anything, but from what they're already saying, it sounds like that's gonna happen, which bothers me. Do I think Morello's fiance really exists? Honestly, I think they do exist. I think that they just don't talk to them no more, and like, and nobody, and like, I think like that was exposed by Nikki Nichols, by saying, we don't want to embarrass you, because we all like we don't ask you about your fiance because we know they haven't visited you in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however many weeks it's been, and um, mm, whoa, hold on, Femwitch, you never competed your thought. Oh wait, no, that's not true. Not you. Sorry, Liz. List for Liz. You never completed your thought. I want to read the rest of it. Oh, I heard it. Um, Sue. Oh, Suzanne. That's true. See, that's the thing. Like they showed a black woman being sexual. Talking about Suzanne. Some might call her Crazy Eyes. But I would appreciate it if people called her Suzanne or Sue. Or Susie, as she says. But I think that I think the storyline with Suzanne being called Crazy Eyes, and also, being the aggressor of Piper, just really bothered me, because there were times where it just didn't make any sense. Where she would come on really thick, but then she would just be like really funny, and and I didn't want to make light of the fact that like Piper was uncomfortable by like the contact, but I thought that it was just really irresponsible of them to like write this character that they're calling Crazy Eyes, that they give humanity to like so late in the fucking season, when you've already kind of written her off as like this this like very unstable and like dangerous person. You know what I mean? Like at some points they do make it like they do make like nuanced points to Suzanne being actually crazy, and that being a negative thing, or rather that being a dangerous thing, which I thought that was very like scary. But I thought that it was really interesting that they used Suzanne to kind of make Piper feel shame in certain ways. You know what I mean? Like how they used Suzanne to sexualize Piper in an unwanted way, but then they also used her as like the magical Negro in a way, like the one that like sets that white person straight and lets them know what's really the tea, and like totally tries to explain to Carmen, what's going Carmen to well, her name's Carmen, but when Suzanne tries to explain to Piper, what psych is like, like it was just interesting to me that like how they could like make Suzanne to be so undesirable and like so like disgusting, but then they show like how Suzanne like helped her with giving her the jalapenos, helped her with giving her half of her earbud when they all had headphones, and this bitch couldn't afford commissary to get headphones. When Suzanne totally was calling out to her and was totally trying to get her attention, I feel like if Suzanne had never done that, I think that Piper would have run off, and she might have been like found with the screwdriver. So they use Suzanne when they need to kind of highlight how fucked up and out of and fish out of water like Piper is, but they also use Suzanne as the magical Negro. Oh, here's these jalapenos. Oh, here's these earbuds. Oh, here's an explanation on why you shouldn't be telling lies on people to send them to fucking the psychiatric ward. You know what I mean? It's like they use people of color in ways to kind of give humanity to the white characters, but also to kind of restore humanity that has been taken from these people of color, or rather these women of color, throughout the series. It's like this constant game where like the white people all have like this virtue, and like the people of color are kind of like, again, the backdrop. And I think that it's like this constant push and pull between trying to figure out who's really bad, who's really good. And I think that like there are times where it's meshed, where like we have the plot where we have the girl in the wheelchair being talked to by Piper, and Piper gives her this like really deep, conversation, like, oh, I feel like, I wonder if I'm really the person that I am, or if like this is this is a front, or blah blah blah, and like this metaphysical fucking conversation. And I just feel like it goes into an area where we're actually starting to feel bad for Piper, because we feel like she's like getting it too bad. But I think at the same time, I don't think like Piper ever gets anything too bad. I think that like she comes from this like point of view that is like that she's aware of. First of all, this point of view where she knows what she's saying is fucked up, because she's able to catch herself right after. But there's like this non-filter kind of thing about her where she always has to say something, she always has something to contribute. And I feel like that's just like another symptom of whiteness, feeling like everything that you have to say is so interesting and so much needed in this conversation. Yeah, the fetishization of Daya was like really disturbing, because I think like from jump, like you're supposed to see her as like this sexual object, and I think that it gets scarier as you go through the season, because like you see how like Caesar lusts for her, and then she gives into him, and I think she gives into him for safety. I think that Caesar was never going to leave her mother's apartment to stop selling drugs, and to stop using the house for a place, for distribution, and, just trying to get organized. So I think that like out of necessity, she slept with her mother's boyfriend. And I think that, when she went to jail, I just thought that was really interesting that like these women keep getting sent to jail for this man's crime. And that this man really went out to Bennett's house and really was trying to, get him to, extort him. I thought that was really interesting too. But I think that there's just so many fucked up parts in this show. But I'm happy that we got to discuss so much. I'm going to read the comments one last time, and then I'm going to sign off, because I really don't want to go over 2 hours again. We're already at 1:10. Oh, and also in the article I read, they also talked about how, that woman that they said was crazy, that she was talking to the devil, in the bathroom stall when she was really on the phone with her lover. They used that that upskirt shot of her throughout the whole season. And I think that that's like also, you know, again, that's also very triggering, you know, for a woman of color's body to be paraded around like that as a plot tool. And not even a plot tool that like is actually like a tool that like goes into something else, a bigger conversation. It's just like, it's funny. It's supposed to be funny, and it's not. All potential to be. I appreciate you for being here. I am recording this, so thank you. T908, I did tear up. I was just like really hurt that like throughout this season that's what she was being called. And I honestly was recently informed about like how ableist the word crazy is, and I'm really trying my best to not use the word, because I realize that, you know, it has connotations that aren't, you know, as aren't crazy. You know what I mean? They're not like, I think it's a dismissive term, and I think it's one that it hurts people more than it helps people. And I think it's on par with saying retarded, you know, and shit like that. So I think that we should really shouldn't be calling people, you know, crazy. Yeah, no, Suzanne definitely was one of the only ones without a backstory, and I thought that was also really interesting. But again, I think it's really interesting how they're using Suzanne, though, don't you? Like they're calling her crazy eyes. She has white parents that are not explained. She has no backstory. She's the magical Negro, constantly coming out of her pocket to give and help the alluring and lovely Piper. And I think that in a way, like her like fighting with Doggett, you know, after having that confrontation with Suzanne was interesting to me. Like how much she like catapulted herself. You know, it was like after the confrontation with Suzanne, after the confrontation with Alex, I think it was kind of like she was getting turned away from all these doors. So I felt like, you know, even seeing Piper when she came into the hall when they were about to do the Christmas pageant, her whole body language was not at all like anything we've seen thus far. She was slinking around. She definitely gave us a very aware but also a very lethal kind of air about her, and I knew shit was going down. You know, as soon as I seen her giving us that look, I knew that I was just gonna see, you know, some very interesting things coming up. I thought the Christmas pageant was funny as fuck, though. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I want to cut this a little bit short. Let me read the comments one more time. Exactly, Liz for Liz. That's how I felt. I didn't feel like Daya ever needed to like have sex with Mendez for a storyline. I thought that it was 100% again white characters asserting their dominance. Red being in the kitchen and using the kitchen as a way to kind of create this hierarchy, but also, you know, using the kitchen after it has been taken from her to, you know, hurt people because she was told by the white people. She was told by the white people who were still allowed to be in the kitchen with the other Latinas that they were no longer allowed in food prep, that they were stacking boxes and shit. So when Red did that, when Red oiled the fucking shit, she actively was trying to hurt a woman of color. She did not give a fuck. It was that serious to her. She would rather be in control and be a nasty ass chef, because the thing that fucked me up is after the Latinas got into the fucking kitchen, the food started being good. People started being like, damn. You heard Doggett, you hear white people tasting the spices. It's like really spicy. It's like really hot. Oh well, bitch. Get some flavor in your life. But I definitely like you really have to break down shows, because like I think like when you don't do that, you accept a lot of shit that you're not really consenting, you're cooperating. And I think that a big part of like breaking down shows and doing critiques is like, you know, recognizing the fucked up parts about it, but still, you know, being able to watch it if you can. You know, as I said, I was triggered by this show. I'm making the conscious decision to keep watching it just so that I can unpack it and like be real about what's happening, because I think that, you know, Laverne Cox being on the show is amazing. I think that she's wonderful. I think that she's great when she talks. You know, she definitely is very intersectional when she speaks, and she also, you know, makes sure to include, you know, privilege in her conversation and her dialogue, and I think that that's wonderful. We need more of that. That's a part of accountability. But Scarlett, I do agree. I am praying for some queer woman of color action next season. List for Liz, I do agree. Suzanne is comedic relief, but without depth. And the worst part about it is, like, I think we kind of crave depth from Suzanne. I think we want to know more. I think she's one of the most interesting characters, but for some reason, again, we're stuck with these boring ass basic, like Nikki Nichols. Who gives a fuck about some rich ass white bitch with a mommy problem? Oh, my mom cared about me too much. She paid for all this stuff for me, but, you know, she was too busy fucking her boyfriends. Like, I understand being neglected, but I think, you know, that's, again, another storyline that I've seen before, you know, like, I mean, not to shit on any white women out here who have, like, issues with their mother. I just, like, I was like, really? You know what I mean? Like, out of all the stories to tell, I think that the stories of the women of color are the most interesting because it just shows you, like, you know, white women, they be doing the most extreme shit to be in jail. Women of color just be like, you know, like, granted, Miss Claudette. But at the same time, Miss Claudette was an eye for an eye, my nigga. Like, Miss Claudette. I was mad that Miss Claudette I was mad at Miss Claudette's story. I was mad that she was in jail. I was mad that, like, she was apprehensive about opening her own case. I was just mad about, like, how when Piper started talking to people or after, you know, people established that, like, one person could get help from Piper, you know, she's over here saying she would help people even though she didn't want to. And it's like, you know, if you don't want to help people, be real. Because, like, the whole apprehension, the whole, like, what the fuck, bitch? You know what? Again, this is coming from a person who said that their plan in prison was to fucking finish their reading list and get ripped. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not planning on doing shit while you're in there, really. You know what I mean? So it's like, the fact that, like, you would kind of act like, oh, you know, I can only help one of these prisoners, you know? Wild to me. Sophia's wife, you know what? I think it was selfish for Sophia to ask Sophia's wife to bring in the testosterone, to bring in the estrogen pills, to sneak those in. I thought that was kind of fucked up, because, like, you know, she's obviously going through some fucked up shit, you know, over Sophia's decisions in life. From which I do agree. I hope Red doesn't make it back into the kitchen either, but I think, like, I think that now that people are kind of seeing her for who the fuck she is, kind of like this, you know, over-aggressive, overbearing ass bitch, like, I think they'll kind of be over it. But you see how quick them white bitches was like, that silent white bitch was not fucking with Red no more? You see? You see though? That silent bitch was like, I don't fuck with you, Red, no more. Oh, y'all are so sweet. I appreciate y'all loving on me. Zayna D, I appreciate you guys all. Y'all are so sweet. Indigo Spirit Fox, word! I'm excited. I'll see you at Afropunk. That's so exciting. Oh yeah, so just to kind of finish up the Ustream, we're gonna have this conversation again. If you guys want, we can do it tomorrow. I'll try not to be late. We can do like I don't know what time is good for y'all. You want to say like 10 p.m. Eastern? I don't know if that's good for y'all. We could also say 11 p.m. Eastern. But I'll figure it out and I'll post a video on YouTube tomorrow. But I'm gonna post this video today so that people can kind of see. But I appreciate y'all for coming to my Ustream. I appreciate y'all for contributing, you know, because the Ustream ain't shit without niggas in the comments, you know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all so much. So thank you. And we're going to talk more. So if you have anything that you want to talk about, please save it for tomorrow night. We're definitely going to keep on unpacking, keep on digging, keep on working through it, okay? So we're going to talk tomorrow. Again, I'm going to be in New York on the 22nd through the 28th, and I will be doing tarot card readings on the 23rd. Let me figure out where I'm going to be on the 23rd doing tarot card readings, because I am going to a cafe. Someone told me that this cafe has a lot of queer people at it, so I'm gonna go there. I'm really excited. It's called Joe New York. It's in the West Village, so I'm gonna be in the West Village at around in the afternoon after 3 o'clock. My reading is at 3, or I think it's at 2. Excuse me. Yeah, my reading is at 2 o'clock, so if you come at 3 o'clock, I can probably read you then. But it's only open till 8 o'clock, but I know that that place has Wi-Fi, and they have outdoor seating, they have indoor seating, and it looks like a really cool place. So it would be cool to just go there and do some tarot cards with people. Do some tarot card readings with some people. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you guys later.